Hello, and welcome to Treetop Environmental News Weekly. I'm Carbohydrate, bringing you the bare necessities in this very busy second week of January 2014, in which I'll be covering a lot about the ocean, some news about hydraulic fracturing, and the cover-up of climate change and the funding. Just a week after a Mexican judge bans GMO crops in Mexico, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approves the same crops and more in the U.S. A WikiLeaks published document hacked from global intelligence firm Stratford by Anonymous has revealed the extent of the deceit the industry has employed to dupe the public about the dangers of tar sands and hydraulic fracturing methods used. The document also reveals the secret campaign to crush organizations who have risen up to stop the industry. The document states that the worst-case scenario for the industry would be when ordinary citizens, unrelated to organized environmental groups, begin to perform acts of civil disobedience against tar sands operations. What the frack is up? Well, a Romanian priest and members of his flock have secretly been sabotaging fracking operations in Transylvania for 12 years. A new study by Drexel University environmental sociologist Robert J. Bruhl, Ph.D., reveals that most of the funding and donations behind the climate change denial effort in the United States is concealed funding, or dark money. This well-funded and organized effort seeks to undermine public faith in climate science and block action by the U.S. government to regulate emissions. This involves a large number of organizations, including conservative think tanks, advocacy groups, trade associations, and conservative foundations with strong links to sympathetic media outlets and conservative politicians. A study shows that 98% of the ocean floor off of California is littered with dead fish, crabs, and other marine life, up from just 1% 2 years ago. Some die-off events have been visible to the public, like the sudden massive krill death in which millions of krill covered 250 miles of shoreline. Multiple studies show that the entire Pacific is experiencing marine life die-offs. Antarctic krill is also projected to lose over 1/3 of its population in the next few years, which could lead to the collapse of almost every other species of marine life in that region, including whales. In the Arctic, cryosite satellite measurements read sea ice mass as the lowest ever recorded, meaning the fast-approaching melt season will have less ice to start with. A report from the National Academy of Sciences says that coral reefs worldwide are rapidly declining from ocean acidification and will likely be one of the first disappearances from rising CO2, the leading cause of acidification. Sea turtle nesting sites are declining with fewer than 34,000 remaining. This week, the anti-whaling ship Steve Irwin of the Sea Shepherd Fleet made first contact with the Japanese whaling fleet, as the Steve Irwin's scouting helicopter spotted the whaler's factory ship with 4 whales already slaughtered on its deck. The Japanese government has given its whalers permission to murder more than 1,000 whales in the annual illegal whale hunt. Sea Shepherd is now in pursuit of the ship and will engage all tactics available to stop the hunt. Shinichi Tanaka, head of Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority, told reporters radioactive water has likely been leaking into the Pacific Ocean since the Fukushima disaster. It's the largest single contribution of radionuclides to the marine environment ever observed, according to one report, with 300 tons of contaminated water pouring into the sea every day. Japan's government finally acknowledged the urgency of the situation in September. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says despite ongoing radioactive contamination of the Pacific, fish are still safe to eat. In Baja California, a two-headed whale has washed up on shore. Finally, a new report written by the Health and Ecosystems Analysis of Linkages Consortium links global impacts on human health to environmental degradation, including sickness, death, and even childhood reductions in IQ. And they wonder why I'm up in this tree. That's it for this week's news. We are on Facebook at Treetop Environmental News, brought to you by the Trinidad Tree Sitters, also on Facebook. We are occupying the redwoods, the most efficient carbon sequestering tree on Earth, which Green Diamond Resource Company are planning to clear cut. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.